Right, where are we here? There are conflicting reports this morning about exactly what is causing the commuter chaos in Wellington. There are reports that much of it is due to one piece of broken machinery, but the Transport Minister, Michael Wood, this morning told AM about an hour ago it was more to do with rostering and scheduling issues. So, what's right? KiwiRail Chief Executive Peter Reedy is here to clear things up for us this morning. Morena, good morning.
Kia ora.
Thanks for being here. So, was this a rostering issue, as the Minister has said, or a mechanical fix, as you've said?
It's a combination of a number of issues, and it's very frustrating, and we certainly apologise for commuters. This is the first time for 41 years this has happened. It's a combination of two things. Firstly, it is a work scheduling and process compliance gap and issue, which we're investigating. And secondly, we had a machinery failure, which stopped us doing the work in the window that we had to. And that's why we had to put speed restrictions on the line.
Okay, so let's go back to the first one, a scheduling issue. What does that mean? That you didn't schedule it properly? Or?
Well, this asset operates right through New Zealand. It only operates 3 weeks a year in Wellington, 4 weeks a year in Auckland and the rest of the country. So it's on a national campaign, national program as it goes around the country. So you've got windows. You can only do it at night time, so you've got windows to operate. If there's mechanical failures, you've got to move the machine. Sometimes there'll be inspection issues in other parts of the network you've got to prioritise it to. So we're always planning this in advance, and when we have work windows, we're always trying to get in there and get the machine in there. What happened here was there are a couple of windows that we missed. We had some staffing issues. The mechanical failure happened a couple of times. We missed the window. You get a couple of shots at it, but we let ourselves down, dropped the ball, and we didn't give ourselves enough window to get back in.
What staffing issues?
Well, we have a number of people that operate the machine. It's a very specialised machine. So we've got people from around New Zealand that operate it. In actual fact, this time we've actually brought someone out from Australia to help us operate it as well. So we have a number of people from New Zealand that will operate this machine, but it's quite specialist.
But in these specific instances, the two windows that you missed that led to this, what you said there were staffing issues. What staffing issues?
Well, there were rostering issues. So, for example, if people are sick, for example, you've got to get other people in to operate the machine. If you can't hit that window, you've got to take the machine to another part of the country. So, for example, this machine's operating all around New Zealand. So any asset might have some particular rostering issues. We'll move people in. Like today, for example, it started to work last night from Waikanae, and we brought someone in to operate the machine.
Get that, but so just coming back to these specific cases, did you not have backup available in the places that you needed it to have backup? Or did you not properly roster people so that there was backup?
We do two things. We have a big rostering program that'll have people to be able to operate this machine. Bearing in mind it's very specialist equipment, so we don't have teams of people on standby. So we have a very specialist team of people to do it. So we have rostering for that. And secondly, if we have mechanical failures at times, we've got to stand those people down, get it fixed.
Okay. So whose fault? I guess what I'm trying to get is whose fault is it? Is there something that KiwiRail could have done with its rostering to ensure that this didn't happen?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So this is a rostering stuff-up.
It's mechanical failure and it's a rostering issue.
Okay. If the mechanical failure had happened without the rostering issue, we wouldn't be in this position, would we?
Correct. It's a combination
so
of
it is a rostering issue, fundamentally.
It's a combination of both when you're operating critical machinery throughout New Zealand.
Why did you put a press release out on the 28th of April on Friday, calling this, putting this solely down to the fact that this needed repairing? You didn't mention anything about rostering. Why did you do that?
Because as we've conducted our own investigation, as we have, and we've got an external investigation starts today, as we've dug into it, we've found out that there were particular issues around rostering that had impacted the machinery scheduling months ago.
So when you put this press release out on Friday, you didn't know about the rostering issues at all?
We didn't see it as the primary cause.
But you knew about it?
Yes.
So why didn't you mention it? Because I think people are going to start to worry that there's a bit of arse covering going on here.
No, there's not. In actual fact, we've
didn't you mention
done it full because it wasn't seen as the primary issue. Because when we sent the press release out, the machine was down, and that was the primary reason. We spoke to Metlink and said we can't get the machine to Wellington. Was that statement, knowing what you know now, accurate? It was a combination of two things. Mechanical and rostering.
Okay, so given that, was the statement, in hindsight, accurate?
Not fully accurate.
Okay, so can you see why people might think you were being cute with your language? There's a bit of air freshener after a fart going on here.
It is. Look, it's extremely frustrating for the commuters. And now as we've got into it, it is a combination of two issues, not just one.
Okay, and this is the EM80 we're talking about, is
Correct.
it? Yeah. Okay, and why do we only have one?
Well, ASIC's been here 41 years. We just don't have the work for two, and taxpayers wouldn't want us to spend 20 million to have an asset on standby. So there's enough work there for one. It only works at Wellington 3 weeks a year, Auckland 4 weeks a year, and it goes around the country. So it's certainly, from the business case, there's ample opportunity for the asset to be utilised on one side.
So these are $20 million. So this could conceivably happen again next week.
Well, no. If the machinery breaks down, we've got a significant number of spares. We've got machinery fitters. We've got an accelerated program of it. A lot of our assets are quite old, so we've actually got a maintenance cycle now that's more advanced than we had before. So, for example, we're maintaining this now 4 times a year, not 2 times a year.
Okay, so we don't yet know what this is costing Wellington, because it's been already it's going to be 4 days, isn't it? Realistically, before we get back to 100% capacity. I mean, this could be costing us tens of millions of dollars in lost productivity, and this is a $20 million machine. How do you know that taxpayers wouldn't feel comfortable with having a standby?
Well, it's an option. As we look at all of our assets, we actually make the best business case, and for us at the moment, and working with the customers, and first time for 41 years it's ever happened. So if you look at it over the history, you'd say one machine's adequate for the failure rate we've had over 41 years.
Can I just read you an email from Connie, who's just got in touch with our program this morning? She says, when you interview the KiwiRail/Metlink guy, ask him how many people on a platform and in a train carriage is a safe number. How many crammed on a platform before somebody gets hurt? I suffered neck sprain and a slight concussion yesterday, lots of bruises from people trying to avoid the, quote, stampede to get on the train at 7:30 at my station. Little children were being squashed, quite literally, by the people who just kept piling into the full carriages at each station. Not a single KiwiRail or Metlink personnel in sight to stop this. Have you had any reports of people being injured?
I sent Connie an email this morning. She sent me that email, and I spoke to her. No, I haven't. It was the first I heard. And I said Metlink wrote to her last night, and that's something we'll be talking to Metlink about today, about how we can help them, because they operate the transport system, how we can help them over the next 3-4 days.
Right.
But it was a very serious incident.
It is. It sounds very serious indeed. So you've just heard about this morning, and you've responded to Connie, have you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you say to Connie? Get in touch with Metlink.
I spoke to Connie this morning at about 5:30, and I explained the situation. I explained that we're looking to get it fixed this week, and that I'd be working with Metlink this morning. I spoke to the CEO last night to see if there were any issues. We're working 3-4 times a day. We talk to each other. So
okay.
I'm happy to reach out with Metlink, who they operate the service today.
Give us a time frame here. When can we get back to 100%?
So it started work last night. It's in Wellington now. It's going to complete up to Waikanai and back to Wellington tonight. We'll have the lines finished by Thursday and the rest of the network by the end of the week.
Do you think someone should resign over this?
No, I think if you think about first time we've had a failure for 41 years, I think
which means that it's really bad.
Well, we carry 26 million people a year and 26% of New Zealand's exports. Every day I'm really proud of my people, what they do. There's an absolute drop the ball here, and we're investigating that.
When did you first know that there was a mechanical issue or a scheduling issue or a rostering issue with the EM80? I
was informed last Wednesday, and we were talking with Metlink on Wednesday.
Yes. Well, Metlink says you spoke to them on Thursday. So the first you heard there was an issue with this thing was last Wednesday. Why not tell the public then? Because what you had was people crammed onto platforms, wanting to get to work and get to school. It was obviously a dangerous situation, according to Connie. Why not give people advance warning of that?
Because as soon as we found out, we were in contact with Metlink. My leader was down here talking to Metlink, and they had to change all the services. So we gave them late notice, which is not appropriate, but as soon as we found out, we were in contact with Metlink to get all the schedules changed. So if we'd had earlier notice, absolutely we would have spoken to people, but that wasn't the situation.
Will you be asking, given what's happened, will you be asking the government for more money to either fix any gaps you might have in staffing or to buy a new one of these things?
It's not a funding issue. The government have appropriated $8.6 billion. This is a workforce planning issue. We've got a review going on, and we'll be dealing with that internally.
Okay. All right. That is KiwiRail Chief Executive Peter Reedy with us this morning. It is 16 after 7.